Hey, good morning, ladies and gentlemen. This is our midweek edition of the Pocket Change Market Report. Thank you guys for tuning in. You guys love this report. So do I, and that's why I do it every single, twice a week. It's a reason why I do it weekly. This is a report that I say a lot of people really hang their hat on for all of the information regarding some of the most relevant errors and varieties that people have found in change and out in the wild. Um, and being able to kind of see exactly how much these sell for ungraded is an important concept to the resale a lot of these coins. Now, as always, you guys know me, all right? I tell you straight. A lot of these coins, I would say 99% of the coins that you see on here, you don't even need to grade. All right, why go through the trouble of paying that extra expense, which is not cheap, by the way? I had done a video on like grading and all that a few days ago, and you guys see you could easily pay $50 to $100 to grade some of these errors and variety. And a $20 coin at the end of the day, whether it's raw or graded, is still a $20 coin. Now, here's the redeeming part of locating these coins and actually finding them, is that they could certainly sell themselves without any sort of grading or attribution help, anything like that. If you know what you're looking for, more than likely your customers, your collector base will know exactly what they're looking for as well, and they will respond in kind to some pretty nice bidding activity. And the market is still trudging forward in a positive direction. The market itself is very healthy, with a lot of sustainable growth in a few areas. Cud die breaks, along with some of these much newer errors that we're seeing from coins as recently as 2019, have all really sparked a huge amount of interest in this particular part of numismatics. Now, just to kind of reiterate, a lot of these coins have been found going through change, searching through bankrolls, which is a very common activity that people like to do, mostly to search for silver. But I would say if you're integrating errors and varieties into the mix, you're going to get a whole lot more value out of going through these boxes at the end of the day. In addition, there are a lot of folks that love cherry picking local coin shops and shows. Oftentimes, you're going to find a dealer who's a little bit old school, who really does not put a lot of stock or care into what they, call minor errors and varieties. And this is going to be a good opportunity for folks like you to go out there and pick them up for, whatever the market price is for a non-variety or error. If you identify one with either one of those, you will, add something really neat to your collection, or you could flip it for a pretty good profit. So, as always, every single coin is raw, ungraded. All of the seller images are their own. They are raw. We didn't juice anything up. There's a lot of photos that are going to be a little bit out of focus. So you might even get a little bit of a kind of like a photo lesson as well for those of you that like to sell on eBay. All right, so let's go ahead and jump right into quite a stacked lineup. We got 35 separate listings. Let's go ahead and kick it off with an intriguing looking $20 bill right here. Now, this is a 1985 series. This is the outgoing, what they call small portrait or small head type of note that's been around for a long time. Now, this $20 bill right here obviously is missing some things on there. Most notable, the green print is completely gone from this note as part of that third print overprint. Not even on there. So no serial numbers, no green district seal where that 20 is. And that's going to be key to something like this. Okay. Oftentimes when you're missing an aspect of the bill, it's going to be that entire, I guess, layer or print of that note. In this case, we don't have like little remnants of green on here to indicate, something with possible shenanigans. People have tried to counterfeit errors, so that's something to keep in mind. And another thing you're going to look for on these, this note is especially a great candidate because of its condition. You don't see any sort of embossing. All right, so the embossing when these notes are printed will leave an embossed indentation where the print usually occurs. And if someone tried to manipulate this build to turn it into an error, usually you're going to see some of the leftover embossing from where a serial number would be, or that green district seal under this 20 here. So those are some things to keep in mind. Yeah, this is a legit error. And you see these more infrequently as opposed to just a completely missing third print, which also would include the actual district seal here, and then these four corners, as well I like to call it, these 4 twos here would be completely gone. The back of the note will show a lot more of the overall condition. It does have a little bit of a corner fold here, but overall just a really nice clean example. This one ended up selling for $203.50. Make sure you know what this looks like. Sometimes a dealer who does not really specialize in currency will try and sell some of these items, and for the most part, they're a little bit underpriced. All right, it's just not in their wheelhouse, and oftentimes you're going to find that right dealer that just want to deal in coins and precious metals. So they're going to, give some sort of discount to move some of the more unconventional items that they don't want to sell. All right, so we're on to coins. We have a 2-coin lot. We actually have a number of lots this week, all right, which is very important. Keep in mind with the lots, you want to keep an eye out for these. Sometimes coins in bulk will sell for a lot less as a total group than, say, a singular coin. So it might pose as kind of like a opportunity to snatch them up, kind of piece them out, keep the ones that you want, sell the rest. At the end of the day, you want to try and turn a profit on these. So we have a 1988 and a 1989 Jefferson nickel. The 88 looks to be about off-center 45%. The 89 a little bit more at about 50-55%. Two incredibly good-looking coins, really nice high-grade specimens. And we have a few listings from a seller that we're going to spotlight this week that goes by the name Hallenbeck Coins. This is one of the next few listings. Just some phenomenal listings that Hallenbeck puts out. And again, they are one of the tried and true sellers on eBay that you could trust if you're looking for something that's a little bit different. All right, so this 2-coin pair ended up selling for $49 with 23 bids, which I think is a very solid deal for 2 different dates. And also from Hallenbeck, we also have 2 Lincoln cents. They're both off-center by different margins. Of course, the coin on the left off-center by about 90%. You do have a 1970D, which, by the way, it's one of the more common dates for this particular error type, is off-center by about 50-55%. All right, 2 incredibly good-looking coins. You really want a date on your off-center strikes, as they are most coveted that way because they are collected by date. The coin on the left, of course, 90% off-center, is not going to leave a whole heck of a lot of options to get that date on there. The backs of the coins look pretty good. The 70D does have a little bit of a carbon spot on the reverse, so that's something to keep in mind. People are finicky about condition and grade states. This 2-coin lot sold for $23.49 with 19 bids. And then we do have this one here, also from Hallenbeck. How about a 1968D Lincoln Memorial set? Now, at first glance, this is a coin that a lot of people have thrown back. They've thrown it in a change jar. They've rolled these things up. They go to the bank. They get used for some sort of other purchasing application. But yeah, this thing is not in the highest of conditions, of course. It's circulated. It's gone through many cash registers and through many hands. But take a look at that. You have an attached lamination on the obverse of the coin. It even goes into the date, which is really spectacular. On the reverse, you do have a little bit of a weak strike here. Not sure what that's about. Maybe it's strike through grease or something to that effect. But this is a really good sale at $39.52. 13 total bids. There was a lot of activity. Again, lamination errors are starting to come out there as being a tried and true, approachable error type to collect because of its price point, but we're beginning to see some of the more, I guess, spectacular looking, eye-appealing laminations sell for what I consider to be above market. The 68D certainly fits that mold. Now here's a 3-coin lot, also from Hallenbeck Coins. They're all 1950s era Lincoln wheat cents. They all exhibit some sort of curved clip. Now the 51D top left corner of the photo image here is, again, the most spectacular one out of the 3, but they all look pretty good. Consider it to be kind of like a starter set if you wanted to get into collecting clips. It's a popular collecting kind of arena, I guess. You have 3 of them right here, all different dates, and they're all Denvers too. All right. Some people say that Denver minted coins, they're really tough to find mint errors on them, but we have 3 of them here. Altogether, it sold for $23.50 with 9 total bids. So again, lots of bidding activity from Hallenbeck. And the final one from Hallenbeck is going to be another group. We have 4 Jefferson nickels, all exhibiting some sort of lamination error issues. Okay, and they all range from mild to wild. Probably my favorite out of the 4. Oh, call me crazy. The 48 bottom right corner is a Denver minted example that exhibits that not only lamination but also kind of like that improper alloy mix, that exhibits kind of like that wood grain look, which is a really neat appearance to the coin. But yeah, they all look pretty good. My least favorite, the 47D top right corner there. But yeah, another great lot. Ended up selling for $55.51 with 14 bids. It looks like one of these lots, might be a good candidate to pick up, only to flip them and make some sort of money off of them. This might be the one right here. I'm not sure, but it's a good looking group. All right, so we got a singular 1983 P Washington quarter. Now, this is a date that we see at least once or twice a week, off-center struck, which leads me to believe that it's a common date for such an error occurrence. It's in really nice shape. But you guys know my stance on taking photos of coins in their 2x2 flips. I don't recommend it. As you can see here, there's lots of glare from that plastic, and it looks like they used a ring light, which is fine. But you do get a lot of that reflectivity in your images, and it can affect the overall look of the coin. Surprisingly, it's not out of focus. All right, and that's usually one of the main problems you come across with these coins that are photographed through a 2x2 holder. It's in really nice shape. It's off-center by, I would say, 15%-ish, somewhere thereabouts. Sold for $50. So that's a really nice $50 bill for this one right here. All right, so this is a coin I bought for the mere reason that it's the first one that I've seen on eBay, and it's kind of piqued my curiosity. The amount of money that I paid for it is such a kind of like inconsequential amount of money that I'm willing to take a flyer on it, just so I could have one in my files. But it's a brand new 2022 Maya Angelou American Women quarter. This one, although the images that you just saw are unspectacular, they're really out of focus. There's that little thing right under the R, which looks to be a Cud, and that's how it was promoted in this listing. But I want to see it for myself. It could very well be a die chip Cud type of deal. It looks like it's touching just the bottom tip of the R. But it could also be maybe a die dent or something to that effect. We'll see. I'll let you guys know what we have here. But I did buy a few different intriguing 2022 quarters that I will share with you guys here in a future video. But let's see what happens. I paid $25 shipped for this coin. Yeah, it's quite interesting. And it's the first one that I've seen come along. So, let's see what we have. Now we have a couple of rather minor broad strike errors. We have a 2000 Lincoln Memorial cent, and it's in really nice shape. If you're looking for this coin with this error, this is probably a really good candidate. But as you can see, slightly, uncentered is what they call it. Uncentered broad strike. It's one of the more common dates to find this error, and it sold for $10. And the same for this 87 right here. This is also an uncentered broad strike, again by the same seller. This one also realized the $10 bill as well. All right, we got a new seller alert, okay, and not too bad. I mean, if you're going to get started selling something, okay, this is a pretty good something to start out with. 1971 Lincoln Memorial cent. Kind of funny images. I think I more prefer the coin on the right with the actual, table or whatever was used for this coin to sit on. This coin here on the left right here, or the image on the left rather, they're the same coin. It's kind of like an ill kind of attempt to crop it. And we see this quite a bit. If all else fails, just keep the photo native. All right, don't do any modifications to it. All in all, this is a really solid sale at $25 for a seller with zero feedback. Again, you do have to start somewhere, and seeing as how eBay just, they kind of handcuff you as a new seller. They allow you 10 listings to try out, and if you sell through those and do your shipping and all that, then they'll open it up for you a little bit. But yeah, pretty good first sale here at $25. Again, you can do no wrong selling this type of error. Now this one's really neat, and it's a Cherry Picker's Guide variety. 1943 D over D repunched mint mark on a silver wartime nickel. How sweet is that? The coin is in pretty nice shape. I would say it's a rather solid mint state condition coin. This particular example here shows an RPM D over D. You can see that secondary D is south of the primary mint mark. This is also FS 501 in the Cherry Picker's Guide. A really solid piece right here that ended up selling for $36.15. All right, coming up next here, we have another one of these 2022 Maya Angelou quarters. This is, of course, another Philadelphia minted coins. That's one of those, those mints that love screwing up, and we all get to take advantage of it. Now, this is a coin right here with a much later progression of that nasty die chip that's right on Washington's mouth. I've referred to this as the Drooling quarter or the herpes quarter. Kind of take it for what it is. But this example right here sold for $34.99 with 2 bids. I've seen that the more advanced, larger die chip has sold for a lot more money. Another thing to point out is that this also has some sort of like earlier progression. I don't know if you could see it toward the top. Right on the bridge of his nose, there's like another formation of what could be a much larger die chip. Now, I did buy one of these, much like I bought that previous example with the Cud that's right on the rim. I bought one of these much larger progression chips, not this one specifically, but I bought another one from the same seller. He actually has a number of them in quantity. I paid $35 for that one. So this one right here, ironically, sold for the same amount of money that I bought my example for from the same seller. Again, once I get it, we'll do kind of a video kind of comparing these coins and progression types so that way you guys can see what's out there. Now, is this going to turn into, say, the Washington crossing the Delaware crown die chip? Maybe. This is really early on, and it might pick up some steam. It might gain some popularity as we go on through this year, and they might go up in price. But at the same time, they may not. These are die chips we're talking about here, and this appears to be the error to find on this quarter. So you guys keep an eye out for these. They are right now hot sellers. Okay, the lesser die chip progressions have been selling steadily for about $20 shipped. These ones here with the larger die chip on the mouth have been selling for nearly double that. So another good one here. Look out for them. This one was, by the way, a standard auction with 2 bids. Check out your scrap silver. You might be able to find a hidden gem like this. 1934p Washington quarter. It's a Washington quarter that exhibits a really fantastic variety, even in such a low grade as this. There are a number of double the dies to look out for on these earlier quarters that otherwise would just be worth scrap silver value. This one right here is FS 101, doubled die offers. I mean, you can see the doubling. most notably on the T and R in trust, but you could see it across all the letters on there. Just a really strong example of this double die, and one of the more relevant ones as well. So, like I said, silver melt value, $5, $5.50. You could turn that into 4x just for looking for this variety. This one sold for $23.45 with 13 bids. I would say that's a really solid sale and a great profit. All right, here's one we haven't seen in quite some time. This is a 2020 Philadelphia Salt River Bay. Yeah, these things are 2 years old already, if you could believe that. And this one right here is going to be the double to die offers, and it's most notably seen in the motto "In God We Trust" and in the mint mark as well. Now, some of you are going to say, well, I don't see the difference. All right, well, if you had this coin and a regular non-double to die coin, you'll find that this coin right here exhibits much thicker letters in the motto. But also take a look at a few of the letters at the bottom there, like the T and R and the other T in trust. They all come to a point at the bottom of the letters as opposed to a flat base. So you'll also see things like the O in God and a few of the other letters are all stretched out. They're not normal. If you look at them, you'll see that difference. But these have kind of come down in price. Now, granted, this particular example is pretty well circulated, so it's not a high-end specimen. Did sell for $9.95. So definitely another coin to look out for. And this particular double to die has shown up on a few different ATB quarters, including the Salt River Bay, the Michigan Pictured Rocks, which is the earliest date, which is, I believe, 2018, and the American Memorial Park. Again, all Philadelphia's. The American Memorial is the more scarcer out of the three, and I think there might be one other in there as well. So another good one to look out for if you're an avid quarter roll hunter. All right, so another good one here. The seller, who I believe is Jim, has a number of these 1956 Lincoln Wheat Cents. It looks like he's been searching through some BU rolls. But yeah, these all exhibit the BIE die chip. All right, and he had them available for sale as what we used to call back in the day Dutch listing, where you have a number of them and you could buy one, you could buy 10 of them, however much that max quantity is that the seller has. Just so happens that this seller had 8 of them and he had sold through all of them to the tune of $13.45 a pop. So that's really not a bad deal right there, considering that they're all high-grade mid-state examples of one of the more popularly collected error types. All right, so this is a pretty good score here. 1891. Indian Head Cent. As you can see, it's got a delamination on the obverse of the coin. I mean, in the perfect world, I would find one of these at a coin shop or a show, for like a bargain-based kind of like deal. You find some of these dealers have these cups full of these less than spectacular graded Indian Head Cents for about $1, and you find this one, pick it up, and again, it really tells you that dealers do not really give a flying hoo-ha about some of these errors. Another good one here, though, probably picked up on the cheap. This one sold for $30. I mean, that's pretty good flip right there, and I would do this all day long. How about a $50 bill for you? Now, you guys have seen this, and I've talked about this error type before, but we have a partial back-to-front wet ink transfer. Okay, I probably don't need to tell you guys what a wet ink transfer is, but yeah, it's during the printing process. The sheets still wet with ink stacked on top of each other will do a partial transfer on certain occasions. Now this is at 81. All right, so it's a much older note, as you can see. This one sold for $225.99. Just a really, really popular item in the error community of paper money, and the sales are strong. There's the back of the note. Again, a really nice graded example right here. Now here's another really nice cherry pick. How about a 1907 Indian head cent? A lot of people look at this and say that there is quite a bit wrong with it. Looks like the acid has gotten to it, but it's not an acid damaged coin. This is actually a pretty prominent strike through error on the front. Probably struck through a big old amount of compound or grease or whatever that really weakened a lot of the devices of the coin during that strike. But this is what it looks like here. Again, in the perfect world, you could come across one of these in a bulk lot of Indian head cents for next to nothing. This one right here sold for $94.65. So that's a really good sale on this coin and a very, very major error. All right, this seller had a few 1964 Lincoln Memorial Cent off-center strikes. This one right here is the better of the two. This one is also a Denver minted example. It's off-center by about 45%. And this one sold for $69.79 with 4 bids. And here's another one, not nearly as good because this one has obviously circulated. I mean, who would ever pass this up? Even if you're not into coins, you know when you look at this, there's something going on with it. Yeah, this one's off center by about 25%, right around there. This one sold for $57.44 with 2 bids. I think this particular date is a little bit more scarce for a date collector of off-center strikes, so that's why the market is still really, really good on this one. Now here's the another lot of 7 error coins. I would say this is probably the steal of the group for this this particular PCMR. So we got 7 coins here. We have 3 blank planchets, and they're all Type 2s. Okay, I say Type 2 because they all have the upset rim on every single one of them. You have 4 other identifiable coins. A 1982 P Washington quarter, which I think is the breadwinner out of the group. That one's off center by about maybe 10-15%. You do have a Rosie, Jefferson nickel, and a Lincoln. And those 3 don't have dates, so they're not going to be kind of held to a much higher standard in this group. But that Washington quarter by itself will sell for what the group sold for. This one ended up realizing $37.25 with 10 bids. So this is the kind of group that personally I would buy. Take the individual coins, resell it, and you're easily going to double your money with this group. The blank planchets by themselves will be somewhere in that $5 to $10 range per each. Each one of the dime, nickel, and the Lincoln cent will probably end up being in that $5 to $10 range as well. And then this one right here will be about $30. So all in all, this is a really good group here to resell if you wanted to do that. Or it could be just a really good kind of beginner's lot of error coins to pick up, so that way you can better understand mint errors, which is spectacular. I would certainly look at something like this as that type of group as well. All right, so we haven't seen a leaf variant. How do you classify these? 2004D Wisconsin low leaf statehood quarter again was the talk of the town. 18 years ago? Am I saying that right? We are in 2022, if I'm not mistaken. And there's going to be some of you that will come across this video and say, oh no, it's 2032. You're way wrong. In that case, call me old then. But yeah, low leaf. This one is circulated too. I think the seller did say that this one's about an AU. Can't really tell how much luster's left on there, but yeah, this is kind of like what you would come across these days. They have circulated for nearly 2 decades. So it would be unreasonable to think that you could find, like, say, a Mid-State 65 example out there. But hey, these have continued to be solid sellers. This one sold for $83.50. Again, it's easy money when you can come across them. And these were, by the way, dropped in the Texas, Oklahoma, Arkansas region of the U.S. back when they released. So they're still being found around there in change today. Make sure you're looking out for these. There's a good example of a 1983p Jefferson nickel with a Cud die break right here at the base of Jefferson's bust. Not a great high-end example. This one is probably like maybe a VF XF grade, but still sold for $16.49 with 2 bids. So that's still a pretty good, nice little chunk of cash. And here's an off-center Jefferson nickel. Now, it's going to be a pre-1965 because the mid-mark is on the reverse. We can at least come to that conclusion. So, you know, maybe it's a 63, 64D. Again, it's a Denver minted coin, so these are quite scarce. You don't see them that often. This one's off-center by about 70%. And it's sold for $18.90. So if you're looking for a decent example with no date, this is a good one here. All right, so the shocker of this week is going to be this relatively new $5 bill. It's from the 2017 A series of printing, and yeah, it's miscut. But take a look at the top margin. It's got leftover margin selvage, is what they call it, which features all the stuff that generally the BEP doesn't want you to see when they produce these notes. So the cutting was way off. You do have kind of like that unconventional selvage there on the top margin, and you also see it on the back of the note as well. Really miscut. And I think this one was probably a little bit of a bargain steal at $58.89 with 17 bits. The note has circulated, so this thing has been through a few hands, and you know, it took a little time for one curious individual to find this and finally retire it from any more spending. Now here's a coin that you don't really see raw, but just to give you an idea of how liquid these coins are raw without grading. Here you go, 55, doubled die obverse. This is a great one to look out for. Now this example right here features that marquee doubling that you generally won't see anywhere else. Yeah, and people are generally worried about buying these coins raw, but Coins and Cards is one of the more reputable dealers online, and yeah, I wouldn't bat an eye of buying this if it came down to it. This one sold for $2,849.99 with 31 bids. Just a really solid, I would say, AU kind of like condition state. Showing very little circulation wear on there. So, you know, just a really good coin, and probably sold a little bit above market for the grade, which is fine, you know. These are incredibly desired and coveted, and when a nice clean example comes in the marketplace, yeah, people will kind of pay attention to the listing and put their bids in at the appropriate time. So, very nice coin here. All right, we got a 1958 $5 Fed Reserve note, and yeah, it's an older note, sure, but you could find this particular error type on a few different dates, and this one right here, although it doesn't kind of show anything to really grab your eye on the front of the note when you flip it over, yeah, we got a little bit of a misaligned back print on here, so it doesn't quite jive up, you know, what do they call it? Registration, so that's aligning the front and the back is not happening here. So the back, people will kind of make this misguided statement that it's a miscut. Well, look at the front of the note. It's perfectly centered. And then the back of the note looks miscut, but it's not a miscut error. So anyways, this particular note right here, a really good sale at $84 with 40 bids. I've seen notes like this sell for in excess of $100. So yeah, it's a little bit light in the market, and would have been a really good opportunity at $84 for sure. You know, maybe as a flip later on, but yeah, this is a really nice note. But believe it or not, this note right here sold for more money. 1981A $1 bill. Obviously, it's got a pretty major misaligned overprint. You can just check out the serial numbers and district seal are all wonky on this one. As a matter of fact, it's not only is it shifted south, but it's tilted as well, which is pretty amazing. This one right here ended up selling for $134.49 with 46 bids. So you can just see the price disparity from the previous note to this one. It's just crazy, man. There's the back of the note. Nothing kind of strange to see here. And we do have a few just really spectacular lots here. Now, keep in mind, this 1970 Washington quarter exhibits 3 curved clips on there with all sorts of Blakesley effect. You can see that right here on this edge. But take a look. It's also got what appears to be a scratch on the back. Or it could be a strike through. Kind of hard to tell. I don't really see any buildup to the left or right of this anomaly right here, so that kind of remains to be a mystery to me. But this is a really wildly rare date for any sort of errors. So when I saw this one come up, I'm like, yeah, that one will probably overachieve a little, and it did. This one right here sold for $27.50 with 10 bids. So a really good sale. I'm thinking that thing on the back's a scratch, but you know, just a really good sale by its own. Also from the same seller, we have a lot of 4 singular clip Washington quarters. Now, we do have 2 silvers. There's a 56 up there that looks like it's been cleaned. 64 looks like a Philadelphia. The 67 and 66 at the bottom are 2 of the most spectacular coins of the group. But altogether, we have a lot that sold for $51. With 2 bids. So there were a couple people that threw in bids there at last minute. How about a 58 Lincoln Wheat Cent off-center strike? I'm willing to bet this date doesn't come up too often. And this one is about 75% off-center with a full date. Now, is it a P or a D? That's kind of like the question that we're all pondering here. I don't think it really matters in the grand scheme of things. Just finding one that's this far off center with a full date is quite a scarcity. So it's good to see this one here. Coin's in pretty good shape, and it did sell for $52.50 with 20 bids. So there were a lot of people interested in this one. All right, guys, a few more coins, and yeah, they're quite spicy. I was excited to see this one, a 43 Lincoln Wheat Cent with 2 Cuds on it. One on the obverse, you can see it there at the bottom base of Lincoln's bust, and then the one on the reverse there at K9 is to kind of like really sweeten up this deal a little bit. It's got 2 Cuds, and it's not common. This is not a common thing. However, there is an unfortunate part to this that you guys need to know. This coin has been reprocessed, and for those of you that don't know what that means, it's been plated, which essentially is a damaged coin in terms of this particular date. Now, keep in mind, they are zinc-coated steel, so even with the zinc coating, these things were susceptible to rusting. And that's the big major reason why reprocessing these pennies back in the day were very mainstream, unfortunately. But this one right here, still a really solid sale at $74 with 6 bids, is one of the more scarce Cud types for this date. So yeah, it's worth mentioning that. Here's a 3 coin lot of, I would say, broad strikes, and they're so minor. These broad strikes or off centers, however you want to kind of classify them as, are all quite minor, but we have a pretty good kind of mix of dates here. We got a 1980p, 83p, again, one of the more common dates of uncentered or broad strikes, and a 91p. Wow, we don't see that one too often as far as dates go. And this trio of coins, as minor as they look, did sell for $39.99 shipped. So that's a really sweet deal right there, and pretty good. Not too bad. And then finally, we're going to end it off on the coin that a lot of people are sleeping on because nobody's talking about it. I've done videos on this on, I think, 2 or 3 different occasions within the last 6 months. And it's just really not backing up to the amount of activity that's being seen online. But I'm going to stress this. Once we're done talking about this coin and revealing the price tag in which this one sold at, some of you are going to go out there and look through these. As long as there's still brand new 2021 nickel rolls to be found, this is a reality. So this one right here has an obvious rotated die errors. Okay, so about 50% degree, or 50 degrees, not 50%, but 50 degrees clockwise rotation. All right, there have been people that have found as major as like 100-degree rotation on a 2021 P Jefferson nickel, and those have sold for $80 to $100. Now this one right here had sold for $45 through 5 bids. So there were people interested, and we're just not seeing that many of these out there. And people are just frankly not talking about it, which, you know, if you were kind of like a closet coin roll hunter and you're trying to find as many of these for yourself, that might be a pretty smart, if not shrewd move. But you guys realize the true profit potential in finding these at $40 to $100 a pop can't be understated. So I welcome kind of like the thrill of the hunt for some of these Jefferson nickel rotated die errors. Again, the presentation in which this was sold at, being photographed in a 2x2 and showing the true rotation on the reverse, there's really no way to fake this. So well done to the seller, and a really good sale, $45, and it's been bid up organically, so that's pretty cool. But that's going to go ahead and do it, ladies and gentlemen. I'm your host, Sean, with Blue Ridge Silverhound. Hopefully you guys got a little inspiration to do a little hunting of your own. There's a lot of good ones to find out there, a lot of money that, or a lot of coins that you could profit from. I wasn't wrong the first time, by the way. But that's going to go ahead and do it, guys. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe. Hit that bell for instant notifications. Coinaholics, we are discovering together. You guys take care, and I will see you on the next coin video. So long.